Hi guys, welcome back to my craft room. So today we are working on another gift idea, and this one is a boho wall hanging. And this one you can kind of really customize yourself, but I wanted to go for a more kind of girly soft look. So I went towards creams, whites, I did some lace, I mainly did yarn, but then added a few little bits of lace and butterflies. So very girly, but you could do leaves, you could do snowflakes, you could make this into any kind of wall hanging you really want. So I started off with a base of just a plank of wood. You can find them in Hobby Lobby, probably Michael's too. Anywhere really. Mine is just kind of, I don't know what you would call it, it's just a stick. It's it's rounded on the edges. Well, not really rounded, but they're carved. It's hard to explain. But if you look in like the wood sections, you should be able to find something. Or even you could just use a bamboo stick. What are they? The little skewers, or even just a dowel rod. That would work too. Chopstick, if you really really don't have anything, chopstick would work. Just about anything, as long as you're able to wrap your yarn around it, or lace or trim or whatever, I think you're gonna be fine. So for my actual holder part, I wanted to go with a leather piece, and it looks so good. It is a kind of creamy, yet on the gray side, rather than, well, I guess that's probably just the leather look. It's kind of a worn dull, rather than a really shiny white that I'm used to. So, but the texture of it is so cool. The textures on this thing is amazing, and it's gonna look so good on any wall. Oh my word. So I had to do the pull test just to be sure. I did layer it and then hot glue it down onto the wood piece just to make sure that my holder would be nice, and I went from corner to corner just to make sure that it would be secure rather than just hanging it from the one point in the center. And then that also helps because we're putting so many pieces of yarn on it that I don't have to maneuver around them. The end pieces are my end pieces, if that makes sense. So to start with, I used these lace pieces just to kind of get it started, to give it a little bit of extra flair on the sides. And all I do is take a piece of either trim, yarn, ribbon, gosh, fabric, anything really you have that you want to use on this thing, and I just get the length I want, double it over, and then kind of like how we do tags, you just flip your ends into your this is so hard to explain. So you have, when you double it over, you get your loop, and then you have your ends. You open up your loop, put it underneath your wood piece, or whatever is going to be your main part of your wall hanging. You're going to put your loop over the wood piece and then stick your ends through that loop, and then you're going to pull, and that's going to create a little loop, and not quite a knot, but if you wanted to knot it, you could. If you can't quite figure out what I'm trying to say, you could just knot the two pieces around the wood, and that would work fine. It'd look probably pretty okay, if not probably the same. But you can, I decided for the first few pieces, I would go ahead and hot glue them down just to make sure that they weren't going to be moving while I was putting all of the other pieces down. But if you have your holder, like I did the leather strap, you can just hot glue that down, and that's going to make sure everything stays on there. So it's kind of up to you if you want to have that security. If it's going to be maybe like outside or near a fan, then maybe you could go ahead and hot glue every piece down, but it's not necessary. It's kind of one of those peace of mind kind of things. But all I do is just continuously pick out. I did a pattern of different yarn pieces. I did a chunky white, and then I did a kind of curly, it was cream, reds, pinks, greens, blues, very pretty, and it adds quite a nice touch to it. And I just keep adding that. And then I added a thin white, and I did 2 of those pieces, and I just kept adding and adding, and I did both sides at a time. So I would do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I wouldn't do 1, 1, 1, 1 because I wanted everything to be uniform in length. So I tried to do my pieces for each side at exactly the same time. And then I wanted mine to come to a point, so I just did a little bit longer every time I added a piece of yarn. And that ended up working out nicely. And because I did working from the sides in, and having them uniform in length, I was able to have that point already pretty much established. But if you need to, or if you decide you don't want a certain length or anything, you can always just cut it straight. You can cut it to a smaller point. You can cut it, it's kind of up to you at that point. What design do you want coming to the end of your wall hanging? And it's very easy to create this. It's just tying yarn, like it's so easy, and cutting it. But I decided to add some butterflies to it just to give it a little bit more interest and some more cuteness. And I think it turned out really cute. Adding those, they're kind of like a, I don't want to call it like origami paper because it's a lot more thin. It's like almost like a crepe paper, but not. They're very delicate and dainty, but they're not delicate. They just look it. And I think that's really nice because, these are going to be displayed, so I want it to have a little bit of a durability, just in case, fingers do roam. And these are very soft looking, so it's very easy to have someone, go up and touch it. So I wanted to make sure that they were pretty strong and will be very acceptable to my hot glue. Because I didn't think I wanted to use E6000 on this because of the certain material. I just thought it would be so strange. So I just hot glued those down in the certain pattern that I wanted to. And I think it turned out so cool. Of course, you can do this in any kind you like, with any fabric, any yarn, any ribbon, any trim that you have available. Very cool. It's a little bit time consuming, but I think it's a gift that's going to be really cool to give. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you're having a crazy day. Good crazy, not bad crazy. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.